I can't remember how long it took them to do that. I think maybe very long. I didn't know if you wanted to report it to another committee meeting. I'll get it to you.
Okay.
I will have it done this week.
Super.
Or they haven't. Yeah. Once you know what they are. Right. Oh, good. Oh, she's so big, it's hard for her to get up on You're looking good, girl.
Isn't she now? He's up there saying incredible. I understand one day at a time. He is, he's a good cook. Yeah, I remember that.
did good, some of them
Hey, Leo. You? When you see my bus coming up,
Playing the cats and then Amazing Grace. And there were 5 or 6 of us both out there, all stopped to listen. Really very good. Yeah, and Amazing Grace. Were you out there? She was out there last night. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what the rest of it.
That house used to be. You want to know where it is right now? He does it every
About 22
Alright guys, I've got 7 o'clock, please stand. Allegiance.
justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Wow, that sounds really good when you got a whole room full of people saying it. That's fantastic. Must be something good on the agenda tonight because we got a full house. That's great to see. Tonight is the August 12th, 2019 HLPOA Board of Directors meeting. If you want an agenda, there should be some over on the table. Just follow along. Announcements, Clear Creek. Dwayne here? That's vacation season. You've seen Dwayne. Floyd Township Fire Department, Brian Urban. Do you have anything, John? No, okay. Neighborhood Watch.
April said the next meeting is August 21st at 7 p.m. here at the clubhouse. Everyone is welcome to join us, and thanks for being the eyes and ears of our community.
Thank you, Ken. HLCS, Harold Pato. Harold's not here. Helnack, Jan Salee.
I'm here.
Hi, Jan.
I'm here. Just a report, obviously many of you heard the Boat Poker Run is this Saturday. We have 150 so far signed up to participate. There is not a limit. Apparently, rumor has it there are only 50 more positions available. That's not true. Last year we had 250, and so we're looking for more, and people can sign up that morning. So we're looking not only for participants, but also, there are 8 docks that people will be stopping at, so the hands will be even, the poker hands will be even better this year, so that's a good deal. And please come in the evening, even if you aren't participating, for food, music, and brew. The Terre Haute Brewery will be here as well. We'll be doing food downstairs, and there will be a band playing from 7 to 11 in the shelter.
Jan, thank you for everything you're doing to help put that together, and
Oh,
the
no
after
worries.
committee. That's fantastic. So I think everyone's looking forward to that. It's always a good time. POA Security, Brian Helmer.
One burglary in the Mill Springs area. There's also 3 reports at best. If you got any valuables on your boats that are locked up, we have one boat that was boarded and a bunch of the valuables were taken. So you don't want to take that stuff that's worth some money out of there because one boat didn't get there. Other than that, it's pretty close.
Thank you, Brian. Harold, you walked in just after I called you for HLCS. Do you have anything to share?
No, I think we're same old, same old.
Same old, same old. Okay, thank you, Harold. Garden Club, Linda Waller.
Anita Johnson, 55 JV for Linda. We met last week. We're still working on the pollinator garden. It may look like a weed patch, but it won't for long. We encourage everybody to come and visit us. We're a wealth of information. We learn together. We have a meeting in the morning and in the evening. And this winter we'll be selling wreaths for fundraising because seed and things for the garden take a little bit of money.
Fantastic. Thank you, Anita. Presentation of agenda. Any additions, corrections, or edits? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Well, what's the motion?
Accept it.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so carried. Thank you. July 8th, our presentation of minutes, July 8th board meeting. Any additions, corrections, or edits? If not, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Before we get any further, I just want to make a comment that AJ Stafford is not here tonight, but he has given his proxy up to Jim, I believe. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so Jim is voting on behalf of AJ as well. Deborah. Presentation of minutes, July 29th operations meeting. Any additions, corrections, or edits? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion accept.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. July 29th executive meeting. Any additions, corrections, or edits? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, guys. Treasurer's report, Jim Johnson.
Thank you. We had a very big surprise when I got the treasurer's report for July, and it is good. The total income for the month of July is $150,284. In my years on the board, I've never seen a July with income like that. It is the biggest I've ever seen. Total expenses were $187,000, so we were only running about $30,000 more in July over, it was unbelievable. The total income year-to-date is $1,009,918. Our expenses are $813,717. So our net income balance as of now is $196,201. As of July also, our short-term cash position, this is the money that we have in the bank to write checks on, is $663,825. Our total investments, which are made up of CDs and money markets, account to $689,825. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Jim. Board committee reports, A&E, Ben Foods.
Ben Foods, 77 Gettysburg. In July, we had 4 permits, 1 house of 1,392 square feet, 2 detached garages, 1 deck. Last July, we had 14 permits, 7 of them were houses. So last July, 7 houses, this July, 1.
Gotta get those decks up for each house now, right? Thank you, Ben. Cleanup committee, Kurt Stoyer.
Kurt Stoyer, 17 Mill Springs. First off, Saturday, we had a really successful shredder event. We had, maybe they didn't know it cost $400 to have that truck here. We got way more than that in donations.
Awesome.
So it paid for itself. Because of that, we're going to have it as an annual event. We can obviously afford it, people are supporting it. We did only half fill the truck with all the people that were there. So we got a lot of room with the truck that size. So you guys got stuff to shred next year, probably in August. So that was pretty cool. We had a lot of volunteers show up too to help out. Garage sales, September 12th through 14th. Clean sweep is the next Saturday, September 21st. We can always use volunteers for that. Our next meeting is this coming Wednesday. We'll discuss clean sweep and garage sales.
Thank you, Kurt. I appreciate the work you guys did. That's awesome. The shredder event went off so well. I inadvertently skipped the campground committee. George Carico, are you here? All right, well, I guess I didn't skip it inadvertently. Government
Can I
committee.
say something?
Yes, ma'am.
That's my brother, and.
Can you stand and say your name and lot
My
number,
name's
please?
Georgine Morgan, and I'm just here, and I'm excited to be here, it's my first time. However, Rob Morgan is the secretary of the campground committee. George is my brother, and that's an error, so maybe you guys can correct it. If in fact the secretary of the campground committee might be the person you want to have listed, that would be Rob Morgan.
Well, that would be up to you guys to decide who would give that report.
I don't know who it is. I don't know why his name is here. That would be an error. That's why he's not here, because he's not on any committee or anything like that. He's a dad with a daughter with really bad leukemia, so he doesn't get to participate a lot out here right now.
Okay. We'll reach out to
Okay.
Rob and find out what's going on with that
Okay.
then. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the information. Government committee, Dick Warner?
Hi, Dick Warner, 183 JV. Got a report on, we attended 4 different meetings this past month, or at least I did. And they were all well attended by various members. Ben Fuchs is common there, and Bill. The PC commissioners meetings, there's 2 of those a month, PC council meeting and the conservancy board meeting. So from the commissioners, there's a Reelsville water issue that they were asking for support on from the commissioners. And so the commissioners will be the lead with the state on that. And there was a report from the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. They line up state grants for the county, and they recognize the need for an update of the county comprehensive plan in order to facilitate the Reelsville request for assistance with their water issues. That would not impact all the tax base. That would be up to them to pay for their water issues. The health department approved a new doctor to the board, and then the highway department reported that the chip and seal projects at Heritage Lake have been completed for the year. I just drove up through Victor Hill and could see that they did all the roads. There was a map of the lake circulated that I got in our last committee meeting that showed the projection for the future of roads to be covered by the Highway Department with chip and seal in our community. So next year, it's,
This better be good.
next year is showing in 2020 an area just to the east of us here between roads 46 to 49 and the neighborhood right in the middle of that. And then the following year, in 2021, right here around the clubhouse area. And there's other areas around the lake, almost getting the entire community up through 2024. So it's coming. If you have potholes, call, they'll come and fix the potholes until they come and resurface the streets. So.
Dick, do you have an electronic version of that we can maybe post on the website or something? Because we get those questions a lot.
Do you know where that came from, Bill?
It was right outside the office in there.
Is this something you put together, Ken?
I worked with Mike Ricketts on that, and he was the one that presented that.
Oh, okay.
So I might add that while a lot of people may say chip and seal, I've talked to plenty of people that the roads have been taken care of, and they've been very pleased with what they had to compare to now. And also, one of the agreements that I've had with him, that once they finish that, then they are going to go back and put a coat of asphalt and repave on top of those roads. Their whole agenda is to get the base of the road built up. Right now, if you ever look into a pothole, the asphalt's only about that thick. There's no base under it. So
I'll ask Mike Monday at the next commissioners meeting.
he's the one that I'm sure he has an electronic
That feels sure.
copy of that.
Okay. And then I'd get it to, who would put that on the website, on that?
You can get it to me.
Okay. The Putnam County Council meeting was kind of short, but it was my first time to attend. It's kind of comical to see how our government runs in this country. It reminds me of Mayberry a bit. So.
Comical, not informational?
Yeah, there's some information, yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be that the total name there. We had good representation there. There's tax abatement approvals occurred at the meeting, and we're reporting on new commercial growth and jobs to the county, so that's good for all of us. And then the Conservancy meeting, they just reported the new spillway still awaits a sealing. They're waiting for the lake to lower 4 to 6 inches below the top of the spillway so that the sealing is effective when it's done. So I don't know if we're reaching that yet, but it's probably getting a little bit close with all the dry weather we've had. There was a budget discussion from the Conservancy, and they have a positive operating budget, so they voted to not increase our sewer fees this year. It sounds like they're in pretty good position, so hopefully that'll carry to next year. And then one last thing, there was an item failed. The Conservancy, due to high flow in the months from January to May, presumably from all the rain we've had. And so they're looking into plans to assess a backup holding tank to offset the flows to eliminate the chance of a future failed report.
Very good report. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ken Hoops, Lake Committee? Anybody
Ken's
speaking?
not here.
Ken's-
I'm Jim Muehlman, 312 Lincoln Hill.
Thanks, Jim.
I don't have a whole lot to talk about because Kent, unfortunately, he travels for business. He's missed the last 4 meetings we've had. He's our chairman. But we've kind of been holding it together the best we can. Basically, all we've done recently is we put some lights out on the buoys. Anybody see those if you're out at night?
Yes.
We think that we'll allocate some money and do it again next year. We'll wait and see how they turn out this winter. We've already lost one. We've noticed that the other night. It came off. Don't know if somebody hit it or what, but we think it's going to be an asset if we do it. There are a couple down in one of the coves down there that are blue. Have no idea where they came from. We kind of just thought about this and thought, well, maybe somebody to go out on the lake at night and you drink a little bit, you got to find your cove. So they put a couple blues up. But the key thing is these things are fairly fragile. So if you do too much drilling into them, and we kind of looked at them, didn't think there was a problem. We got to be really careful. So basically, we put really small screws in them with a lot of silicone, so we can kind of pry them off because you got to turn them over to turn them out. But if everybody thinks they're working for us, we'll invest in some more. We had 15, we have 14 now, plus the 2 blue ones. The other thing we're working on is, it's been a project all year for redesigning the rule book. Everybody loves the rule book. Nobody looks at it, but they love it. And so what we try to do is, my wife Deb and Peggy Purvis are kind of working independently, and they're going to combine their works together. We're not changing any of the rules. We're fixing where there's a word left out here and there or whatever, but we're kind of redesigning the way it's laid out. And instead of starting out with certain things, we're going to try to start out with the 15 most important items we think people should look at when they're getting ready to go out and use their boat. If they don't look at anything else in the book, at least they know they're supposed to ride on the right side of the road. They're not supposed to turn in front of somebody. And so we hope to have this out by the end of the year, so it'll be ready to go next spring. So that's Kent's report.
Thank you, Jim.
When's the next meeting? Excuse me.
It's the 4th Wednesday. I think we'll probably go ahead and plan on it. Dave Grenadier is our co-chair, so we're just kind of, we shoot from the hip. What can I say?
All right, hang in there, Jim, thank you. Ken, have you noticed any reduction in destroyed buoys since the lights were added? Is the rate gone down?
Not really. There's a lot of buoys that have been hit, and if you only see them sticking out of the water, that's an indication they've been hit. They've cut or taken on water. We need to reinvest in some more. I know we purchased some for this year, but we have no more.
Do you know if any of the ones that had lights on them have been hit?
I have seen, I was out the other night, and I did see one that had a light on it that was just sticking out of the water. So that one obviously has been hit.
How much are those apiece?
How much are those, Jim? Was they like
$500 or something like that?
Oh, the buoys?
No, we tried 2 different ones. If you're out there and you see one that's more like a laser light, that was $42. The other ones that are just incandescent only were $7. And we put them all out, and we found that the incandescents stay on all night. The little laser guys go out about 1 o'clock, so they don't just go out really late at night. And so if we do this again, we're certainly going to invest in the cheaper ones. If you lose a couple, it's not that big a deal. Your comment about the tall one, we probably put it there. What Dave and I did, we didn't have very many to put out, so we went around the lake, and wherever there was a right turn, if a boat was coming out and making a turn around a curve, that's where we stuck one. So we tried to put them, not arbitrarily anywhere, actually on the turns, so if someone was going around it, they'd see it. We saw one that was missing, we knew that we had put out there, so I'm going to guess it got hit. But anyway.
I meant the buoys.
Yeah, how about $150?
Okay.
The buoys are $150 a piece, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, next, clean water, Phil McKinley.
Phil McKinley, 330 Patriots Landing. For several years, we have followed what's generally considered the protocol for testing for safe water for swimming, which is to test E. coli level. We have typically done that at the inlet streams over previous years, partly because we want to do something a little different, but also because of overlap with the Big Walnut grant that's doing some water testing of the upstream level. We're going to do some testing in the open water of the lake this year. We've already made that request, and Ken tells me that some of those samples are going to be collected shortly and tested for a coli level, and we hope to have a report on that in the near future. Previous tests of the inlet streams have generally been pretty positive, somewhat higher during high water flow, which is to be expected, but during normal water flow, it's been rather low. We don't have any reason to expect it would be particularly higher in the lake, but we wanted to test that assumption.
Thank you, Phil. Long Range Planning Committee, Deborah Napier?
I've heard back from several that are interested in joining the long term, and I'm hoping that we can do a sneak peek meeting before September, so we're looking for just an informal meeting this month.
Okay. Do you want to send an email out or post it on Facebook or anything like that to make sure if anybody is interested in joining that committee that they're aware that that meeting's going to be?
Yeah, so we can post Facebook, that'd be great.
Cool. Let me know when you want to do that, I can do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Siltation, Dwayne Kelly. Dwayne's still not here, okay. HLEPT, are the Deegans here? Okay, I'll just give a brief update. There was an HLEPT meeting, first one in a few months this month. Just kind of got the team back together, discussing different initiatives. I don't have any other notes or detail on that right now, but they'll be picking it up, and I think their next meeting is going to be in a few more months. They're meeting quarterly now instead of every month like they used to. So I'll try to get a better report on that for the next time. Election Committee, Jim Muhlenbein.
I don't have a report on this either. Other than, we now voted 740 lots. We've had about 530 or so ballots. That represents 24.8% of the total. Got a long way to go. We are working constantly trying to get you to vote. So if any of you have not voted, or you don't remember if you voted or not, and you can take time when we get done, walk over here, either fill one of the ballots out, or take some information with you and take it home and take a look at it. We really need everybody to vote, whether you vote yes or no. We'd really like to get a quorum. We haven't done it in 50 years. Our goal is to reach a quorum, whether it's good or bad, we want to get there. So if any of you have not voted, or if you can't remember if you did or not, if you did vote, and I find out that you voted twice, it just gets set in another drawer, so we won't do it twice. But appreciate anybody who hasn't, okay?
Jim, I know that you and Deb have really worked extraordinarily hard on this initiative so far. You're available at all of the community events, the fundraisers, you're sitting out in the sun when we do the taco bar or Marina breakfast. You're really putting in a ton of effort, and I appreciate it. On behalf of the board, we thank you. We're going to continue to work towards getting that quorum for sure. And that's one of the items on the agenda for tonight, is to talk more about the covenant vote. So thank you very much for your efforts. It's
We'll be here in
appreciated.
the clubhouse on Saturday, 2 hours of registration.
Thank you, Jim. Managers report, Ken Roselle.
All right, this first topic is probably alludes to our successful July. Last month's board meeting, I announced that there were approximately 77 lots that have not paid their 2019 assessments. Now, looking back, that's extremely low in the past years. I'm happy to inform that with the diligence of our office in the past 30 days, that number has been reduced to 20 lots, equaling 17 owners that have not paid. Those 17 individuals not paying their assessment, those have been turned over to the attorney. The job of collecting what they did last month was $18,753. It was a job very well done by the office.
Wow, that's fantastic. Great job, Deborah.
April and I both.
Very good, thank you.
The second location of the playground project has been completed at the campground. There was approximately 2/3 of a semi-load of wood chips placed at 4 different locations, along with utilizing 6x6 treated lumber to border the locations that will maintain and keep the wood chips in its place. We are currently working on the same project at the Marina playground and should have that location completed within the next 4 to 5 days. This week, we should be having a new pool cover installed. For the past year, I have seen the current cover quickly deteriorate while trying to make it last as long as possible. Last week, the cover began to fall apart. The cover was 7 years old, and I was informed that due to the sun and the chemicals, that we should plan a budget to replace that about every 6 years. I'd like to thank all the board members for their quick response in getting this repair taken care of promptly. Also, the treatment date for August, well, the paperwork that I have is it says the 14th. Normally they do it on Tuesday, so don't be surprised if they're out here tomorrow. But if they do it tomorrow, if they don't do it tomorrow, it'll be Wednesday the 14th. And the last one for the month is the 28th. They're both for weed and algae growth on both treatments, and there will be no restrictions. And finally, I'd like to include Brian Helmer. A little bit ago that he was awarded a life-saving pin where there was a lady out here that he happened to be out here over at the dam area, I think, when the call came out, and carrying an AED in his car. He shocked her 3 times back to life, and that lady from Heritage Lake was at the courthouse today, and he was awarded a plaque and a pin. So I didn't get to thank you before I left the courthouse, so that was my thing. That's it.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Brian. Congratulations, that's awesome. Covenant vote. As Jim Muhlenbein already said, we're right around 25% of all lots being voted for the 2019 Covenant campaign. If you have not voted, please do so. We are coming up soon now to the end of the first voting period before the next round of ballots goes out to everybody. So it's going to cost us POA money to mail them all out again to the people who haven't voted yet. So if you just forgot and want to get that in before the next mailer goes out, that would really be fantastic. You'll do your part. Also, there's a raffle for those of you who aren't aware. There's a paper up there that describes what it is, but there's gift cards that are going to be raffled off for everybody that returns their petition in this covenant matter. So there's a little bit of incentive there for you. If just trying to vote and be active in your community isn't enough, that'd be a good thing to do too. So we need to talk now about when the next mailer is going to go out, and also the status of the voting website. Jim, you have any information on that?
Did we get through them, Deb? The only thing that would remain then is we have to get from the voting website the conversion of the data elements that Deborah just provided to them in a format that is consistent with what the attorneys say are required for electronic voting. Once that is done, they turn the switch on. And anybody who has electronically voted will be purged from our records, and then we'll reopen for them to electronically vote. Also, Jim will be making sure that we don't get any dupes coming in from previous votes and the new vote. So I think we're probably second week maybe of September.
Okay. So we're going to continue to pursue the covenant vote. So again, if you haven't voted, please do so. If you have any questions, feel free to approach anybody on the board. We're happy to help you. Our Jim Muhlenbein is visible as well. We will be visible at the poker run day too, so come and find us. Marina project. I assume this room isn't nearly this full for most of our meetings, so I assume word has gotten out and everybody's here because they have an interest in one of the biggest initiatives that we've taken on as a board in many, many years, I think. So the Marina is up for a second vote now tonight by the board. The board is going to have a discussion on this amongst ourselves. I will open it up after our discussion as a board, before we vote. I will open it up for input from you members that are here, whoever wants to say what they think about it, ask questions, get clarification, whatever you want to do, that's fine. We're going to do it respectfully, orderly. There's not going to be any yelling or interrupting or grandstanding. We want to have a productive discussion before this board makes a very important vote. So I ask you all to just kind of follow the rule on that. I will call on you, and you'll have your opportunity once our discussion on the board is complete. So, Jim and Paul, you guys want to take it away? The last time we spoke at the last board meeting, we did have the first vote, and the motion was, at that time, 6-2 in favor. The motion was for Brandt Construction to continue with the project based on the $850,000, subject to our securing financing on the project. Tom seconded this motion. So you guys want to go ahead and pick it up? Tell us where you're at.
Okay, we have two banks that are looking at doing the financing, and both banks have reported to us that they are looking at it very favorably because of our strong financials. Once we get that thing locked in, which will probably be in the middle of August, if we get through this vote that we're going to have this evening, of course, the deployment of those assets will be subject to Brandt Construction's drawings that meet what our standards are at the $850,000 level. So that'll all be subject to that. If that happens, we think that in mid-September, they're going to begin smashing the Marina. And when they do that, the gas is going to stay on. We're going to have electricity for the gasoline, so our boats can continue to be fueled. And we're hopeful, though, that come sometime in the middle of May, we're going to be able to fully fund the project to the tune of $1.1 million through other sources that we have found, part of which has to do with the incredible job that the POA has done in squeezing our expenses this year. We expect to be, now projections and exact things, you just can't be sure, but we expect to be in the black $145,000 at the end of the year. And after tax, somewhere around $90,000 to $95,000 are going to be able for additional deployment for extra phases beyond the 850. Also with some great generosity from our community in multiple areas, like for example, a Circle of Pride or the Wall of Fame or something where our membership will contribute funds to the development of what we're trying to do. We've involved the realtors into this process. Imagine bricks that are going to be in the concrete that we're going to be able to have our names on, personalized for a donation. And I believe we can have this thing fully funded with no additional borrowing by May. We're going to come up with $250,000 between now and May with no additional financing. So that's just the great people of Heritage Lake. That's what's happening. So we think that the project is going to work very, very well for us. It's just going to look kind of strange here for a while when it's all flattened. But their expectation is that in the middle of May, they're probably going to have us up and running.
Okay, I'll open it up to guys on the board if you have any questions or discussion for Jim. Nothing?
I got one comment.
Yeah, Ken.
Don't let me forget, because I've been thinking about whose responsibility would it be for the Vita route that monitors the tank fuel, and that's all like lines going to the tank.
I know we have to watch that.
I don't know if that's would be our responsibility, or that's something Brent has already.
All right, let me get that down. What he's talking about is that we have to report to IDEM any possible breaches in our fuel tanks. And we have a fairly sophisticated system that is constantly monitoring and reporting back. And then like when the vendors come in and deliver the gasoline to us, they're measuring all that and they're able to tell whether there's shrinkage due to things other than evaporation. Like if we got a breach in the bottom of the tank or something like that. The lenders want certification that we've got that particular problem taken care of. So we'll get the certification, and then we have to find out who's going to be responsible.
Right.
You're talking about the monitoring between closing of the marina.
Yes,
and
that's mounted in the back room. It just constantly reads reports and stuff like that. you know, we gotta figure out how that's going to work.
How do you spell that word? Veeder?
Yeah.
Veeder?
Uh-huh.
All right. I'll get with Brad on that.
And it could be something as simple as just dismantle in it and you know, we won't be pumping any gas through the winter, but we will for a short time. Maybe it's just typical old-fashioned dipping it, you know, to get our measurement, because it reads how much fuel we have in the ground, if there's any
Oh, to keep it
water.
above that
Yeah,
lower.
yeah, it's just, you know, it's just a reporting system, and, but it's pretty in-depth between the tank and the building, and I'm just not sure.
Underground
Just don't, let's not
I won't
forget
miss
it,
that.
because
I won't miss that.
we've got to figure that out.
Just another note, Jim, if you could make regarding gas. I think currently the gas is paid for by credit cards in some instances. And the credit card machine does work off of the internet. So besides electricity, we would need a mechanism for that credit card machine to work.
Got it.
Yeah, I figured we'd probably just move all that stuff to like a work trailer, or maybe, I'm sure they'll have a construction trailer, whether they will let us utilize a desk in there to operate fuel.
Yeah.
But we probably will need some kind of a storage trailer to remove everything inside of there.
Right.
That will, but that's, you know, it's not a whole lot of dollars.
I mean, we could use it. What do you call it?
Yeah, attachment phones.
Yeah,
Well, square?
Square.
Yeah.
That's kind of, they're expensive though.
I have no idea.
Yeah, you get whacked on the credit charge plus their transaction charge.
So 3% plus another or something.
Yeah.
Okay, any other
Okay, any
questions?
other?
Just so you have that note.
I got it.
Anybody else on the board?
Yeah, on the borrowing, Jim, I know we're the 10% of the budget is how it's set up. Are we breaking that up 2018, it's gonna be 2019, 2020, or is there a mechanism where we can just do 20% at one time?
Got to break it up.
Okay.
10% a year.
10% a year. So just so everybody understands, you look at your previous year's budget. You can borrow up to 10% of that. And that's about for year 2018, which is the previous year, that's about $130,000. We expect to have a bumper crop this year, which will push us up even higher, but our budget is going to be lower because we saved money. So it may be down in the 120,000 or something like that we'll be able to borrow in January. Does that make sense? Everybody getting that? So it just depends on how it works out, because your budget isn't what you planned, your budget's what you spent. So that's what we're gonna have to be looking closely at.
Any other questions or discussion, guys? Okay, I'm gonna open it up for questions from the members. Now, before we do that, how many of you attended any of the Marina presentations? Excellent, excellent. Okay, so you're coming at your questions and your input after actually seeing the information and the facts, so that's a positive step forward right there. So I'll open it up. What I ask you to do is raise your hand, state your name, your lot number, and then ask whatever question or have the discussion that you want. I ask that nobody interrupt the person that's talking, who has the floor. I have this gavel, I've never had to use it, I don't want to use it now, so I know there's a lot of you. Let's try to keep it orderly and productive, so I'll open it up for any questions. Yes, sir?
It takes a little while to get off.
That's all right, we got time.
Joe Brosnan, 138 Mill Spring, all right? I've been here a couple times, not that much, but it seems like, to me, it's going a little bit extravagant, okay? So I would be in opposition to this transaction for this indebtedness. I can see some good points on some of the things that was mentioned, but I have to say I'm opposed to that much indebtedness till I can see a little more clearly what's going on. And I think there's a lot of people, that's homeowners, that have expressed that type of feelings with me. Could be a good thing to do somewhat of revamping, wouldn't be against that, but
I think it needs to be examined a little more clearly. And I don't really like to see something that I'm not a little bit clear on when it comes to that kind of money.
Sir,
And
what you may not have seen though, is there was a committee that was put in place last year that did a lot of research. We've talked to financing people, we've talked to construction guys. Paul and Jim have spent over a year working on this, so it maybe hasn't been visible to everybody, so I understand your perspective. But they've really done a lot of work on this to understand what options would make sense for us, to give us something that's not just good for today, but something we could grow into in the future as a community, so.
Well, I appreciate what everyone here in the board's been doing. I know this just don't come from nothing, you know, you gotta spend some time. You got my appreciation on that. But I mean, in my perspective, I'd like to see, be a little bit more detailed, you see, when it comes to that kind of money. And it seems too extravagant at this time to do that, unless I've had a lot of people express this to me at this particular time, unless we could see more clearly. I understand, you know, you have some folks on the board, but here being a property owner, a lot of people have wondered, you know, a little apprehensive about something of that nature.
Have you been able to attend one of the sessions?
Yeah.
Okay, good, all right. I appreciate your input, thank you very much. All right.
Just a sidelight, the last session is also available on YouTube. So if you would want to review maybe what was presented, just to get a little refresher for yourself, it is available on YouTube.
Yeah, I know that, thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I know there's been a lot of, Diane Talbert, 309 Gettysburg. I know there's been a lot of discussion about like a kitchen and a dining facility, and if the board or whatever goes with a restaurant that would be leased out, or, you know, and I don't know, and you may not even finish it, I don't know, you know, how your plans will actually progress with the income and how things go, but if you get to the point where there's a restaurant, or in a kitchen and seating and everything, and you want to lease it out, how is that going to affect members and committees who have been getting excited about the idea of having some nice kitchen facilities to use, and they might not be able to use them? They might be extremely sad and disappointed if they can't use them because there's a leased restaurant in there who will not let them use, or they cannot use it without some kind of supervision.
That's a really good point and a good question, and it's something that we've heard in some of the presentation sessions that we had with members. Just to be clear, we're going to be constructing the building. We're going to have the footprint to support a potential kitchen or restaurant or bar or seating area or whatever in the future. What the whole entire space is going to be used for has not yet been decided. It is not in scope to have a restaurant now, and if it does get to that point in the future, that would take a whole lot of community involvement to decide, because there's huge implications as far as bringing people from the outside that aren't members, liquor licenses, there's all kinds of things. Like you said, just leasing the space out to our members by a restaurateur that may not be a member, that's something that's just out of scope at this phase of the project. This phase is getting us the building, giving us the footprint to expand upon in the future to whatever the community in the future decides it wants it to be. So it's out of scope right now, Diane.
Well, I just want to register my concern with that, because if you're going to have this building and then that whole end is going to be empty until you make all these decisions and finish up a kitchen.
It could be a
whatever.
community gathering area. We could have meetings there. We could have just people come in. I mean, Roger, you guys have coffee over in the marina right now on your little table. We can expand that for you. You could stretch out a bit, bring your lazy boy, whatever you want to do. Diane, we don't know all of the future layout that it's gonna look like, but we'll have options, and it's for the community to decide what we wanna do with that space. It'll be there, we won't have to do any more, the electricity and the plumbing will be upgraded to support whatever we want it to be later. Maybe nothing, I don't know, but right now, it's gonna be a great building, and that's what we're gonna give the community right now, and whatever the community wants to do with it is for us all to decide in the future, not
So
now. You got like 2 questions already, Diane, this is it, you gotta give someone else a chance.
Time's up.
Okay, I was just wondering, the other side will be fully functional though?
Absolutely, there's gonna be a retail area, there's gonna be indoor bathrooms, there's gonna be a nice area for Lois and the Marina staff to set up and conduct business. You won't have to be cramped in right next to the door, and the door opening and closing on people. We'll have a better area for everybody during boat registrations to read those rule books before you get your boat tagged and stickered, and that's absolutely the plan. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments?
Yes.
Lois, please.
Okay, Lois, at the Marina, her questions has been a lot of what I've heard. People are concerned about alcohol in the Marina area with children and everybody there doing business. And if that's gonna be all open through there, they're concerned about that. There's lots of differences of opinion. And we need coolers, we need everything related to the Marina area right now. We need all that, not just an empty building, we need all of that. Everything we've got right now needs to be fixed or replaced. So we do need to consider the things that we need to operate our business. The Vita route that you mentioned, IDM checks that every Sunday morning at 2 a.m. There has to be a certain amount of gas in that tank. That and the automatic shut-off, all of that is all connected. And that all is computerized, so you need to consider that. I would like to have a date when we're closing, because I've been asked 50 times this weekend, what's your last date? So I need a date.
Lois, are you planning your vacation?
No. No, I'm here. No, I'm just telling you what I've heard also.
I agree with you. People and alcohol on the boats and in the marina, I mean, I'm worried about the people that are sober in the marina and on the water most of the time. So
We're
add
worried
alcohol,
about
that's
us too.
absolutely a concern for the future. Totally understand that. As far as the shutdown date, assuming this passes, I don't know, Jim, would you have a target on that, or is it just a guess right now until you go back to
The
Brad?
soft date's the third week in September.
Been telling everybody about the middle of September. Is that
Yeah.
close?
Yeah.
That's close.
But that doesn't mean you gotta take your boats out of the water at that point,
Yeah.
right? So there'll still be plenty of room to get your trailers in and out of there. It's not gonna be like last year, where we had to be out of the water right after Labor Day. So you'll have the extended season, however late you wanna keep your boat in is gonna be supported. And I'm sure Brant is gonna be aware that there's gonna be the need for trailers and boats to be going in and out of there during their demolition or whatever they're gonna be doing at that time.
Well, everybody loves the building. The building looks great. It's beautiful, it's modern, it's gorgeous. All the electric and all that's gonna be great. But consider the other things that we need also.
Absolutely, Lois. And this board, I mean, we've been talking about this for quite some time now, and we all have the same concerns that all of you have with respect to things like that. Liabilities, if we go in the future with restaurants or alcohol or whatever it is. I mean, we've all had a lot of discussions about the cost, about the layout, about the features, about what we think the community wants based on what we hear. This is a huge decision that is not being taken lightly at all. There's been a lot of debates. We're not all on the same page with all the issues, but we're working really hard to make sure what we're gonna decide is what we all believe is best for the community. And we don't all agree what we think is best for the community, just like you all don't. Some of you guys are just like, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever, and others are like, oh my God, what are you thinking? And we get all that, but at the end of the day, we are really working hard to make sure that this is gonna be something that this community is gonna be able to use.
One gentleman said, I'm gonna miss this little marina.
Lois, are you gonna miss the little marina?
No,
Okay, all right.
Banging, chattering, machines that don't hardly run.
Yeah.
Hands has to be empty.
You're definitely,
Twice a week.
you
There's a lot of
definitely need
things
some
to be
upgraded equipment to be even
Exactly.
better than you already are, so thank you very much,
Thank
Lois.
you.
Okay, anybody else? Yes, sir.
There's,
Stand up.
for the,
Name and lot, please.
Thick Warner 183 JV. Obviously, there's not going to be bait available for the fall fishing. So I know of a bait store down on 40. Is there anything else closer for people wanting to get crickets? And I know you get worms up.
I get crickets in my backyard.
I don't know I don't know that we have to close it down.
Oh, you might still
There may
have
be a
bait.
way, because the outdoors is gonna be warm,
Great.
so the live bait can, maybe,
Okay.
I'll put that down
That's
on
a
the
good
list.
idea.
That's a
Thank
great
you.
idea.
Well, if we do a job trailer, to house the electronic equipment for the register, the job trailer, whether we use Grant's trailer or just a small job trailer ourselves.
We'll figure that out.
House it in there.
Good point. Thank you,
Great
sir.
point, great point.
Yes, sir.
Bruce Hickman, 67 Mill Springs. I was just curious, since the inception of the idea of the marina, what the price per square foot started out to be, what it is now, and what may be the projection if we waited and not went quite as extravagant, what the price per square foot would be, say, in a year or 2 years.
I don't know.
What is it now? What is the price per square foot now?
I think it's, what is it, somewhere around 300.
I think it's
300
around
plus.
300.
We've talked to the contractors about that, and there's no way to forecast that. However, every contractor we've talked to about the foreseeable future, one of the biggest things that comes up is employment and labor costs. Right now, nobody can get workers because everybody's working. And so to forecast the material is almost impossible, but to forecast the labor, everyone tells us now the sooner we get a building built, the better off we're going to be because of labor. Now, keep in mind, these Brand Construction, the three principals, or two principals with Brand Construction and one principal with the architectural firm, live out here. Now, that may seem like a double-edged sword to some of you if you're pessimistic. But I'm very supportive of that because they care what they're doing and they care what's going to happen because they live in this community. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that they are determined to use as many local people as they possibly can to do this job. And that's the way they think they're going to keep their costs down. Right now, they're costing this project as if they were doing it in the middle of Indianapolis. Those rates, those materials. Here, as any of you know, when you do a remodeling job or any type of hiring somebody to work on your properties, it's a little bit cheaper here. The work isn't cheap, but the labor is less expensive here than it is in Indianapolis or something.
All right. Any more comments? Yes, ma'am.
Lynn Brosnan, Patriots Landing, 288. And I've attended several of these meetings now, and it kind of, to be honest, it sounds all kind of scary to me. I would like to voice a no vote on it. It's a very expensive, an awful lot of money. Just, I'm a little bit concerned too about riffraff and a lot of liquor. I would just like to vote no on this.
Okay, thank you for your input. All right. Go ahead.
Marilyn Good, 12 Gettysburg. I know there's been a lot of thought and people looking into all of this for the good of Heritage Shores. And I don't see why it has to be approved. Or we'll have nothing. And I think people should think about that. It's not going to change, just give you a better place to go for the marina.
Thank you, Marilyn.
And keeping Lois a job here.
Thank you. All right. If that's it.
That isn't it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Got two, so. All right, go ahead.
I
I've raised my hand about 4 times now, so I want to be sure.
It's, a lot of people have. Go ahead, sir.
Well, in the first
Name
place,
and lot number, please.
Curtis Talbot, 309 Gettysburg.
Thank you.
I don't believe you guys can technically borrow or spend the money that you want to without being in a budget. The budget you presented at the beginning of this year has no mention whatsoever of the marina or the use of the $600,000 in our CDs, nor of you borrowing any money. And I do believe that you have to have the approval of the people before you can do those things, and that you're breaking the Indiana law that calls for it to be in the budget. All these expenses should be budgeted, and just because you think you can get by with 10% on borrowing money, which you can legally if it's in the budget, or you can get by with a 10% increase in the budget from year to year without the vote of the people, you can, but there's no way you can increase the budget to that amount of money without the vote of the people. And you're trying to exclude us because you know that the majority of people will not support it.
Thank you, sir. You in the back, sir.
Brian Williams, 449 Jefferson Valley. In the event that this all goes haywire and south, who's responsible for the debt?
POA.
POA?
Yeah.
So it'd be the homeowners then at that point, not the neighbors?
Let me give you a little information about that going into the tank scenario you're referring to. I've seen some stuff on social media that we're stretching out with all of our money's being spent. That's just false. We're gonna have somewhere between $90,000 and $110,000 in reserves, cash reserves. And beyond that, we currently have $663,825 in cash. And at our current run rate per month average, and we're using historicals, between now and year end, we will spend about $22,000 average per month. And I've grossed that up to $132,000 total. We're gonna be in a situation where we're gonna have about $400,000 additional. So I mean, I get what you're saying. Could Armageddon strike? Yes, it could. But we're gonna be almost $500,000 in cash as a cushion. So.
It's a lot of cushion.
I'm sorry?
It's a lot of cushion.
Yes, thus, there's not much reason to be concerned about it, in my opinion. Could something drastic happen? Environmental emergency? Something that we would normally be able to respond to if we had another million? Yeah, those things could all happen. But if you look at revenues for Heritage Lake over the last 5 years, they haven't deviated but about 1% among all those years. Our income is strong. It is steady. Our accountants say we're remarkable. I don't know how many POAs they do. Maybe we're the only one.
We're the best and the worst. Yes, sir.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just have a quick question for Jimmy. I read these things about, if we had a big emergency. What emergencies would we have that we'd have to pull out $500,000 for?
Jim, I'm only saying that to calm the fears of people who worry about it.
You know, give me some suggestions. I mean, if we have a tornado coming through here, what's the POA responsible?
That is coming from a guy who's got enough food in his basement to keep all of us with food if Armageddon.
I've also got a big Haas generator too. No, I'll tell you what it really is. I'm sorry, I'm back stiff. What the real risk we have is, all right, if we have a big environmental disaster, our government.
Like what?
A terrible upstream pollution or something that could kill the lake.
Okay.
And we gotta act quickly.
Okay.
And that could be a problem. Our government, the United States government in some respects, and Indiana in other respects, would ultimately fly to the aid through disaster recovery. But it's that period of time between the dreadful event and when the government responds that we're at risk. And I'll concede that. I'll concede that it's a risk. We also could have something absolutely terrible weather-wise happen here that would wipe out the POA office. We would have insurance that would respond, but you know how insurance companies can be. We wouldn't be the only dog that had our property damaged. So, but I say it primarily, it's an exaggeration, I think.
I was just curious. Thanks.
I'll have to move if I'm wrong.
In the back, Lois, go ahead.
Okay, Lois, 312 Mill Springs, I forgot to give you my address. I've been to Marina 18 years, and honest to God, we get gas delivered sometimes 3 times on a weekend. We have more income now than we did 18 years ago. We have more expenses, but we really have more income. Okay?
Thank you, Lois. Mike, I believe your hand was up.
Mike Heineman, 308 Patriots Landing. I've been told that our boat fees are gonna go up to $310 a year. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
What guarantee do we have that they will go back down?
That's a good question, and it's not the first time it's been asked. This board has stated that we are in agreement that we would stick to the 4-year, the boat fees are up, the campground fees are up, the boat slip fees are up. The board turns over every single year. It's incumbent upon the next board to continue on with what the previous board work has accomplished. I don't know how we guarantee that the board in 4 years is gonna be able to manage bringing those fees back down. If any of the guys here on the board have any suggestions on how we could enforce that or ensure that that happens, I'd be happy to.
In my project tasks.
Wait, can we limit the background discussion, please, so we can hear Jim's answer? Thank you.
In my project tasks are included, we have to get this vote done first, but in September, that this board a motion will be made by this board to give the sentiment of this board to future boards. Now, the only thing it could do is it would make it politically difficult for them to cast a vote, because the board can always do what the board wants to do. But we want that sentiment to go through. And the consistency on this board, we will have 3 elections between now and when this project is completed, and it's possible the entire board would turn over.
Right.
There's no assurance. And I understand what you say, once you got it, it's hard to give it up. But our boat fees and our POA dues combined cover our entire budget. And they've given us $100,000 extra a year. We are in great shape with our fees. And I saw somebody on Facebook today said, oh, they're gonna raise our POA, what is it? Assessments. We can't raise POA assessments. That's a covenant issue. That's bogus. And that we're gonna raise fees. I don't know if we can raise fees anymore.
I've got one more thing to add to that.
It's a good question.
Mike, and for everybody else here, you know how future boards are gonna be reminded that the boat fees and the campground fees and the boat slip fees are supposed to come back down after 4 years? All of you've gotta show up at the meetings and demand that it happen. That's how you remind them. That's really the answer.
Vote the people in that promised to take them back down.
Yeah. Keep the board accountable, not just this board, but future boards. Come to the meetings, talk to your board members, say, hey, this was supposed to happen, can you look into it? They should.
My second question is, how long is this loan gonna be for?
You talking about the duration of the loan, or how long is it before we pay it off?
Both.
By the duration of the loan, the 2 banks that are looking at it are 20-year, let me get my head around this, wait a minute. I believe they're 5-year ARMs, adjustable rates, so they'll be able to raise the rate during the 3 times, because the first 5, then you do it again. There's actually somebody here that could speak to that, but I'm not gonna put him on the spot. The other bank will not go farther than 15 years. So, anyway, those are the durations that we're looking at. In terms of our repayment schedule, 3 years. All right, now, that's not gonna be easy. There's gonna be extraordinary austerity, there's gonna be demanded of future boards, because we're gonna be paying this baby down that fast. But actually, because of what has happened with us, with having the limitation on how much we can borrow, it's half of what we thought. And the 4-year, I'm not making a commitment for future boards, it may not be necessary to have the 4th year of the boat surcharge. Because we may be able to whack this, but that's the good news. The bad news is we still got $600,000 that we have to pay ourselves back to rebuild our resources. And that's gonna take 7 to 8 more years. So it's not gonna be an easy climb.
One more question. Yes, sir.
Bruce Hickman, 67 Mill Springs, in reference to what he said, if this gets voted down tonight, does that, being that you've already decided to raise the boat fees, does that go away?
We haven't
Both
decided to
fees
raise the
haven't
boat
haven't
fees.
been raised yet, no.
That's pending.
I thought you said it already had been.
No.
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 Lois, this is the last
One
question.
more, and I won't
Yep,
say nothing
yep, yep.
else. And I'm not saying anything bad about the people that built the little marina in 95.
But
But if they'd have done a better job, it wouldn't be falling apart now.
That's exactly what we're trying to
Stop and think,
prevent.
That building was built in 95, and it is falling apart.
That's exactly what we're trying to correct and prevent for the future. Okay, thank you for your
I'd
input.
like another vote.
Chris is the last one.
Well, you had several. but-
I'm saying, we've already spent 20
Jim, what
minutes.
kind of interest rate are you talking about?
the lowest that we've seen, Curtis, is 4.1.
4.1?
That
And that's
would
the
be
one
on
that
10.
can go up?
Just a moment, my hearing's real bad. It's 4.1 for the first duration. The first duration would be that period of time before the first arm happens, the adjustment.
And how many years is that?
I believe it's 5.
5?
Yeah, but see, none of this matters if we hit our marks. Because if we hit our marks, we'll never hit the adjustment. And that's the idea of keeping it down as, of just squeezing our expenses and doing everything we can to pay it off. Some would argue we should continue paying at the higher rate and build our reserves. I'm not an advocate of that
It's an
philosophy.
extremely aggressive payback plan to save this community a ton of money in the long run, so.
Well,
Oh, I didn't tell you the range. On the 20-year debt, the one number I got was 4.6. So the range would be, 50 basis points in between the two.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're looking at spending the $600,000 that we now have in CDs, or $660,000, isn't that what you said?
689,000 is just CDs, and there's
Okay.
another 600,000 in cash.
So you're looking at spending how much of that?
About 600, plus at the end of the year, we're gonna get back about 100,000 in savings, so probably 700.
You're assuming that. You're assuming that other 100,000.
I'd almost be willing to bet you, Curtis.
Well, I'm not in a position to bet you on that.
Yeah,
But,
it's a good deal.
so you're looking to spend $600,000 that we have in reserve in case of emergency, which we talked about, could happen, we could get wiped out.
It could happen.
And at the same time, you're talking about borrowing more money, which would put us further and further in debt. So we're going from a surplus to an indebtedness in order to have this marina that's nothing but a shell of a building that you don't even know whether you're gonna get a restaurant in it. You might, I think they're gonna give you your worms and your crickets. But there's no guarantee that you're gonna get anything out of this shell. And you don't even know who you're gonna, if you're gonna lease it, or what you're gonna lease it, use it for. Now, this sounds to me like a pie in the sky kind of a dream.
But just so you know, Curtis, our revenue projections have no presumption of a single penny of revenue coming from other uses than what we currently have.
Okay, thank you for your input. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the discussion, the questions. We appreciate hearing from the community and having such a great turnout because this is a huge deal, so. With that, if there are no other discussion amongst the board, I will take a motion. Yeah, Jeff?
Jim, what's the, if the fees aren't raised, how does that affect our payoff? I know we're talking 3-4 years. Is it gonna bump it to 5 years, so we don't even reach the adjustable rate part?
You have to give me a chance to think. Probably moves it out to 8 or 9. I'm swagging that. You can't hold me responsible for that. I'm just doing a quick mortgage calculation, so.
And that's not figuring any donations, like we talked about, or?
Well, that presumes the donations, I was saying. The only thing is, the downside is that makes it 8 more years before we can make contributions towards restoring our safety net. And I think we need to focus now on austerity, now on a rapid payback, and now thinking about the future. That's what I think we need to do. I think we got the thing in position to make it happen.
Thank you, Jim. Grant said that there were no questions for those folks viewing on YouTube as well, so. If you guys are done with the discussion, nothing else, then I will take a motion.
Chris,
We already had.
Could you read the motion that we had last meeting?
Yeah, the last motion was,
Why can't we let that gentleman ask a
because
question?
we
We
already.
haven't made a motion yet.
Hang on, because we had it open for discussion for over 20 minutes.
Okay.
We're good.
Sorry, sir.
Jim made the motion to authorize Brandt Construction to continue with the project based on the $850,000, subject to our securing financing on the project. Tom seconded that motion.
I so make that motion tonight.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
All in favor? Raise your hand. AJ's proxy is with
I
Jim.
vote affirmative for AJ.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you guys for all your work, and thank you to the board for all the discussion and thoughtfulness on this. All right. Next item on the agenda, 38, guys, please, we got some more business. You will have another opportunity for open forum after the rest of the agenda is complete. 30-acre gate, member access, Ken Roselle.
And I thought we were done. I'm ready to go.
It's your turn now.
The 30-acre, what I brought this up in the, I'll give you a quick update on the 30-acre and the gate. But the reason I brought it up was for some ideas on what we can do for the members on opening it up for leaves and stuff like that. How we're gonna manage that, but we were, kind of start off, we were fined from this last time that there was a burn. We were fined $1,500. That's a total of $2,000 now for their fine. I did write them a letter showing them a picture of the gate, sending them a copy of the estimate or the cost of the gate and the money we spent on the cleanup of the material that was out there in the 30 acres. And I asked them to please reconsider their fine, that we're trying to do things the right way. I just sent that last week, so we'll see what kind of response they get.
When is the fine payment due?
It was at the 30th of August.
Okay.
I may be running up there. But as of right now, the gate is complete, mostly with the exception of the electronic end of it. We just did submit our permit, and we finished the meter base for the power. That is expected to get approved tomorrow by inspection. So once we get that approval, then the electric company will come out and run power to that meter base. And then it will be simply as the gate company come out and just program the gate. So that is all complete. It's really close to being completed. But like I asked in our ops meeting was some ideas on, because it's just a matter of time for the leaves start falling and the members are going to need a place to store their leaves. It's unfortunate we can't, we've done it for several years, but we've got away with it for several years on burns. It's been illegal. And they're just now cracking down on us, but we need to figure something out for the members on, the members dispose a lot of leaves down there, and we need to figure that out. I'm not sure what they.
And I think last time we discussed this, I don't remember if it was the operations meeting or previous board meeting, but some of the trash companies will accept bagged leaves if you bring them to your curb. So that may be something that members may want to check with whoever it is does your trash service, just to see if that could be an option for you or not. Well, Ken and the rest of the staff try to figure out what we're going to do with the fall waste that's about to hit us soon. So, Tom?
Just two things I'd like to interject. One thing, I know it's a guesstimate, but would you have a guesstimate when this fence company could come out, so we could get on their calendar? Because this fence company has, because of the weather, they've given us some delays. So if we had a guesstimate, we could tell the gate company and say, okay, we are guessing this time period. So put us on your schedule, so we don't run into a delay from them. I mean, did a power company give you any guesstimate?
They said about a week to 10 days. Once we call them when it's approved. They told us not to call them until we have our permit or it approved by the
So
county.
assuming we get it approved tomorrow, we could say 10 days from that, we could call up the gate company and say 10 days from tomorrow, 10 business days, I
The
assume.
gate company said as soon as I notify them we have power, they'll be right out.
Right. They've already bought the equipment, so they're sitting on the equipment, so they're waiting on the last half of their payment.
All I want to do is get in their queue, because I don't want another delay from the gate company for whatever reason. And regarding, do you have a comment regarding that?
The what?
The getting in their queue, the comment? No? The second part of my question then was to address, like I did last time at the operations meeting, if we open it up for leaves, the only way that I would vote for it to be open to leaves, if we could have some individual there that would actually inspect the load and quote unquote, make sure it was just leaves, because we know we've had people, the gate was open a few minutes when trucks were going in and out, and somebody snuck in and dumped branches, I assume. So the only way that I would go for that particular access for leaves would be if we could get volunteers, and I'll step up right now and say I'll take a 3-hour shift. Volunteer to monitor what's coming in and have a set time period. That's all I want to bring for the minutes.
Anything else, guys?
Any other ideas?
I think once the gate's completed, we're gonna have to come up with some ideas. I think segregating it to hours for the community and making sure that we put on Facebook, we put on emails, we post the hours to bring leaves. There's no sense, if we're gonna volunteer it, we've gotta limit the hours. You can't just have volunteers out there every day looking through leaves. That's my suggestion.
We're not looking at, a whole lot of time frame that with the leaves coming down, but, where it starts getting busy down there, last thing I wanna do is somebody call the office and say, I've got 3 bags of leaves I wanna take down there, and then I gotta call the maintenance guys and stop what they're doing and run over there, and I'm like, that's not efficient at all.
Yeah, I think set up a schedule, hours, days, whatever, and just go from there. I mean, that seems to be the only way we'll be able to manage it, if we still want to be able to use that area and open it up for the community to use. So.
One thing the community could do as well, Ken mentioned folks with 3 bags, I've seen guys take 5-gallon buckets of brush, or leaves, yard waste and dump it in there, that kind of thing. When we do come up with a plan to have the disposal area open at certain times, get with your neighbors, get in the area, if somebody's got a trailer that 6 people can put their brush on and haul all over there at one time. I said brush, no brush. Leaves, yard waste, that kind of thing, and haul it all over there at one time. That's gonna cut how long people have to stay over there, volunteer, and maybe go a little bit smoother as well.
So are we in a position, guys, that you feel like anybody wants to make a motion on any of this, or do we still want to come back and come to the next meeting and talk about a schedule or rotation or what we want to do?
I table it.
All right, yeah, can we table that then? Okay. Next item on the agenda, aquatic control lake study. Ken?
Okay, Robin Alexander with the Lake Committee had brought it to our attention that to have some lake testing, water testing done. We must have talked about it during budget last year because we did in planning initiatives. We budgeted $4,000 for a fish and water quality study. That is what the estimate for aquatic control, gave you all copies during the ops meeting, but it pretty much covers electronic fishing of selected shoreline areas, basic water chemistry, reporting. Other reports include graphs, tables and summaries, and recommendation of I can't even say that word. And improvement of the fish population. This is scheduled to be done in the fall of 2019. And it says here that the survey will be conducted at night. So, and that is a $4,000 cost. Now, it's in the, like I said, it's in the budget. So, I don't know, does it just take a, does it even take a vote?
I don't think it takes a vote if it's already in the budget. The budget approval was approval to spend that money for that line item.
That
so,
purpose.
Yep.
Cool.
So
So we'll
go forward.
move forward with it?
Yep.
Okay.
Next item on, any other discussion? Good? Okay, next item on the agenda, HLPOA website improvement. Tim Cabot?
Hi, Tim Cabot, 19 Mill Springs. I thought you guys all came to hear me talk about websites. I just mentioned it to Chris after one of the Marina meetings. It just seems like our website that we have designed specifically for us is a little bit dated and doesn't, I don't know how much is really being used. And so I just wanted to throw out the idea. I work for a company that we do websites, and I'd be willing to put together a proposal to have a more revamped website. It is not a social media site. That's what we have, Facebook and Twitter and all those other things for. So, but it would be a revamped site, hopefully make it a little bit easier to be able to post documents and find things and keep it up to date. You could have blogs, you could have your notes, your minutes, you could have whatever you want on there. Most of the websites today would also be able to be tied in to what we do at the Marina. If we do have more retail opportunities to sell shirts or things of that nature, you would be able to offer those on the website. It can still be secure with everybody having to log into it to be able to see things. But it was really just an open question. Is it something that the board and the community is interested in, is having a new website? And like I said, I would be willing to put together a proposal of different things that it could do, and then bring that back to the group if there's an interest.
I know we've had a discussion several times on the board, at least during my tenure on the board, about our current website, and there's been ideas back and forth on it at different times. Tom, you are probably the most involved on it out of anyone on the board. Do you have any input you'd like to give?
My question would be, could you give us a list of some of the URLs of websites you've designed to get a feel for what they look like?
Most of the stuff we do is retail. So we're actually what would be considered a white label retailer for a lot of companies. So, but I can give you plenty of examples of the stuff that we've done.
And if you do move forward to come up with a quotation, one thing you might want to just look at as a sample of what we might be interested in, there is a website, Hidden Valley Lakes. If you write that down, look up their website. They do a remarkable job. They did a remarkable job in their design. Currently, one or two of their individuals maintain it. It is a friendly website. It does have the ability, which would be important to us, of being able to display videos, have audio capability, be able to put in documents that are like full page color with attractable fonts. You know, so we would want to be able to maintain it. So that's, again, a prerequisite. Another prerequisite, at least from the standpoint of how we use our current website, one important thing that we have on our current website, many people call it a no reply notice. That's automatically emailed to residents. And also, we automatically use that feature of listed residents to send out our newsletters. So that would be an important feature that we would want to be able to maintain. The ability to send out announcements, event notices, the newsletter via a members list that the website maintains.
Right, I assumed that, again, much like what we have today, we would want to have some level of privacy, and you'd have to log in to be able to view certain things. And so people would have to have accounts, and by having those accounts in the system, I think we'd be able to do exactly what you're asking.
So maybe if you could just shoot to Deborah a list of those URL addresses. So Deborah manages the website, I help out a little bit.
Okay.
Shoot her a list of those so we could take a look at the format that you currently do.
Okay. And you said Hidden Valley Lakes, right?
Hidden Valley Lakes, they're in Indiana. So you just type in Hidden Valley Lakes, Indiana. It'll bring up their website, and I think many of us have looked at it, and it is, quote unquote, user-friendly, attractive. People go there to get more information.
Tim, thank you so much for coming to the board with that.
Did we want to go ahead any further?
I would say yes, because I know AJ's approached me about changing the website or updating it, so I would think so.
Do we want to ask this gentleman to put together a proposal?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we are now through the formal agenda, and I will open up the floor to members for any business that you want to state to the board. We already talked the Marina, I think, to death, but if there's still something that you guys left out, that's okay, but let's spice it up a little bit and talk about other stuff too. Go ahead, sir.
Phil McKinley, 330 Patriots Landing. Just a couple of thoughts. One is the comment about the lighted buoys. That's a little self-serving because I'm on the lake committee that helped recommend that. But I'm surprised how useful I've found that they are when I've been out at night. And I know when people in the past have talked about hitting a buoy, I've kind of had the attitude, well, how could anybody do that? But surprisingly, you can come up on those in the dark pretty easily. So I think the lighted buoys are a great thing, and I hope that we can continue to add more lights. I think that's very helpful. The other, just point of clarification, you had a brief comment a few moments ago about the aquatic control lake study. Came out of the recommendation of the lake committee and the clean water team. The last time we did a full lake analysis was in 2016 with Commonwealth Biomonitoring. We decided to go with a different group this time, which is the other division of the same group that does our weed treatments and algae treatments and so forth. And they will do both a complete fish study, which we thought was important after the lowering of the lake to see what the population was like and how many we may have lost in terms of potential restocking. But then also some of the biological and chemical tests that are important to lake quality. One of the things that they didn't do was the E. coli testing, which is why I mentioned earlier we're going to do that separately. So just a little update reminder of what that was all about.
Thank you, Phil. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Pam McKinley, 330 Patriots Landing. And I just had one comment. Over the years, we've been here 11 years now. And over the years, many times we have picked up things floating in the lake, like a rolled up swimming mat, a styrofoam flower pot, life jackets, inner tubes, various things that have no names, chair. No, but they don't have any kind of identifying address on these things and some of them admittedly have flown off of the lake or, in a windstorm or something like that, or a thunderstorm. And we always bring them over to the marina and leave them there by the gas pumps, and I think they usually disappear. But anyway, my suggestion is that people should put their address, use a permanent marker or a paint marker or something, and put it on things that might tend to get into the lake and no one knows where to return them.
My suggestion is to raffle those things off for Marina. Either way. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mike Heineman, P308 Patriots Landing. In regards to the 30 acres, I hear that we're only going to be allowed to take leaves over there. What are we going to do with our branches and stuff like that?
You take them to the dump like you should. That's, it's against the law for us to do that.
Okay.
We cannot continue to do it.
We shouldn't have been doing it.
Yeah, we shouldn't have been doing it for 30 years. They're on to us, and I've dealt with IDM before, and we're very lucky that it's not in green. And unfortunately, I hate it, but we've advertised places that will take it to the dump and different locations. We keep that information out here.
Okay.
But we did have a gentleman, well, actually it was a neighbor, a couple doors down over the weekend that took down 11 trees. They hauled off 11 trees, but there was a lot of debris behind, and because he had no place to take it, he lights a fire to it, and then neighbors called the fire department. So the fire chief says we're going to be dealing with a lot of that, but at the end of the day, to answer your question, we don't have a place for you.
Are we allowed to burn them personally?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Just don't catch the community on fire. You gotta do so safely, but, you know, that's really the answer. Everyone's responsible for disposing of their own yard waste now.
There are some guidelines that we have in our rules regarding burning. You might want to look those up to make sure you fall within the guidelines.
Mike, at the end of the day, any fire that would be of that would cause somebody having breathing problems or whatever, by law, the fire department's supposed to put it out. So, a bunch of us went down and talked to IDM, and we tried to look for options, and about the only option we had was we could file for a permit to burn. We could go through all that red tape, and the minute somebody called, which they do every time we burn, we would still have to have it put out. So we just have to just shut it down before IDM really gets ugly with, that could be the emergency fund that we're talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
How about doing the same thing with branches as we just did with paper? And have the shredder come out, people make a donation, bring their stuff over, and then instead of buying 3/4 of a truckload of wood chips, we all donate them to you.
We have discussed that. Actually got a quote from Ray's this spring about bringing their chipper out, their tub grinder. Their $7,500 was the price they quoted me, but they said don't waste your time with no more than we had. But that was just a few months worth of brush. If we had a year's worth of brush, it would definitely be, it'd make a difference. It'd be worth bringing it out. We could charge people for brush. To what you asked, Mike, about can you burn your brushes if it's in a container? IDM doesn't have a problem with that. Technically, an open burn in your backyard of any reason, if somebody complains about the smoke, Ken's right, we do have to come out and put it out. You might check with your trash company. Most communities I deal with around the state, if you cut your brush up into pieces no longer than 3 feet, some are 2 feet, but most are 3 feet because they'll fit in the back of their trucks, and bundle it up, usually 2-foot diameter bundles. They'll usually take it, but that's something to check with your trash company.
Thank you, Jack. Anybody else?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Jan Sully, 65 Gettysburg. I forgot something else about Saturday. We need more cornhole tournament players. We already have 6 teams so far. It is a cash payout, so make sure you get signed up, especially if you're any good at cornhole. That would be awesome to have more participants. The other thing is, our Heritage Lake Scholarship Committee met last week, and we added 2 new members, Alan Zirkle and Tom Novak. And I'm here to announce the major change that we made. is in addition to our title, we're changing the name to Heritage Lake Charlie Beard Memorial Scholarship. So we thank you for all your contributions annually, and now you'll get to help in his name as well, starting next year in our, hopefully in the assessment letters and stuff. So.
Thank you very much, Jan, that's fantastic.
Carol all about education.
That's awesome. I know he was really involved. That's great. Thank you.
And the new Marina.
And the new Marina. Anybody else?
Yes, me.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Lois Napier, 312 Hill Springs. Deborah and I want to thank everybody. During our loss, everybody has been wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you, Lois. I'd like to also, on behalf of Lois and Deborah, just thank everybody who showed up at the memorial and the celebration of life down in the clubhouse a couple weeks ago. It was just such a fantastic turnout, and you know, we have a lot of discussions and disagreements as a community, and people fight and bicker and complain and call names. But when members of this community are in trouble, they need something, or going through a hard time, it just really warms my heart every single time to see how people come out to support those that really need a little bit of support at any particular time. So it's just really fantastic. That's why we're all here, guys. We're all a community. We're all living here together, and we just like to do so peacefully and everybody get involved and help each other out. So thank you. All right. Last one.
Well, this one has to do with the Curtis Keller 309 Gettysburg. This one has to do with your trash, or your branches and stuff. If I understood you right, you could collect those branches and then have somebody come in and chip them all up, right? So it isn't that you can't collect them, it's that you can't burn them, right?
Right.
And from what you said, how much did you say it would cost to have them, if you gained enough to make it worth their time to come out?
They gave me a quote of $7,500 to burn it, or excuse me, from Ken to burn it. $7,500 to chip it, or $4,500 to haul it all away. They said 4 or 5 dumpsters. They would be loading and hauling it. The residents would not be loading brush into dumpsters. They'd be putting it on the ground, as we've always done, they load the dumpsters. And me and Kim talked about that a little bit. To bring the chipper out here, or what they're bringing out is a tub grinder to turn it into mulch.
Yeah.
So that $7,500 to bring it out, they want to have a week. We would want them to have a week to 2 weeks worth of work to make it worth our while. So yeah, we could do that. We could take the brush in, and that's something the board will have to discuss. We could still continue to take brush. With the gentleman who came out and hauled the brush away that we had out there last time, he lives out here at the community, it's Vondersar. He did a great job. There was some lumber and stuff in there as well. He didn't haul that away he takes that brush to, I believe it's McCarty, or whichever one's in Danville. And they grind it up, and then you go down there and buy brush, and now you pay $40 a yard for it, and we could grind it up and leave it here, and you get it for nothing.
Yeah.
But the trash and stuff, he did have to haul that away, and I don't know if, he had about $100 worth of trash he had to haul away. That was part of his bid, though.
That was out of that huge big pile.
That was out of that pile. It was about $100 worth of lumber. There was a plastic, I don't even know what the hell it was, as long as this table, about that thick of corrugated plastic. I thought about taking it and making a boat dock out of it, floating on barrels.
Curtis, you know, the difficulty, again, is what people will drop off. You know, as Jeff is indicating, they drop off plastic, they drop off old lumber from their docks. So in terms of those kinds of things, this shredding company won't deal with those. So somebody would have to separate out the good from the bad, which would cost more money. I unfortunately, I think as Ken indicated, or someone just indicated, we were enjoying that privilege illegally for many years. And I think we just have to come to the point of saying no. Because it's a costly situation. And not only in money, but in terms of manpower to try to keep out those unwanted things. You're gonna have to have somebody there to monitor. You know, so that's the unfortunate, the negative part of it.
Well, why couldn't you have, say, a weekend or specific days that people could bring their branches out and you could have somebody monitored for that short period of time? Because, well, I'm not talking about the leaves, I'm talking about the branches. If people keep burning these in there, you're gonna be spending a whole lot more money with the fire department running over there and telling people to put their fires out or put them out for them than you would by.
It's a volunteer
sort
fire
them out.
department.
I mean, yeah, if it burns your house down, you'll feel that way.
But we explained that to IDM about having more fires in a big community. And at the end of the day, all they would say, it's illegal for you to burn. It's illegal for you to open burn, and that's all they wanted to respond to. I kind of took it that they didn't care whether we burn our community down or not. It was just that we were not going to open burn in that.
One of the things the board has discussed, Curtis, to your bringing the brush around, we discussed it in the past. Again, as Ken talked about, we could even have somebody monitor brush when it's being brought in. You do leaf and brush at the same time. So you understand how the gate system is going to set up. It will be set up with keypad. So you'll pull up, you'll have to get out and go over here, not pull up and just hit the window, hit the button out of your car. You'll have to get out, and then the one on the inside is the same way. The idea behind that was, as we talked before on the board as well, as far as improving and doing things a little bit different in the future, is possibly, card readers or things like that. Cameras to monitor. Ken's already got a camera up over there on a tower that does monitor that area. It wouldn't take but a couple of cameras to get license plates, and you got to get out and punch and slide your card or punch a number in. It just took a picture of you. So we could monitor it that way as well. But that's future talks. Right now, the idea was to get IDM to leave us alone.
But you could collect brush right now anyway.
We could collect brush right now if we monitor it. If we want to monitor it, have 3 weekends in the spring where Tom's out there both days each weekend.
Tom's on leaf duty. Tom's not on brush duty, because what people do is, you use the word brush. Unfortunately, people think 6-inch diameter branches are brush, or stumps are brush. So again, it's a heavy monitoring situation that would be required. And Tom doesn't volunteer for that.
All right, if there's no other discussion, I'm getting tired.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all so very much for coming. Executive session, guys.
No!
10 minutes, 10 minutes. We'll have a discussion. Okay, we want to a little bit more. Well, thank you for your time. I know we're like, I was getting late. I'm going to we'll go that way. We're going to
I've seen it in a steady way.
There's a little bit more. We're coming towards the He wouldn't be able to hold my hand. I don't think you're saying.
Hey, Ken? You got a second? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Great about this. No, I just want to
Hey, oh, I know you have. You guys have done a good job in replacing that. But stylish you've been on. I've told everybody I know.
Yeah, no problem. No,
Dude, it's still going.